Hey, welcome to Black Knight Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Interdonato. Black Knight Nation podcast is brought to you by Higher Echelon. Higher Echelon, a company run by Joe Ross. Joe Ross was a coach at Army, and now we'll get right to it. We'll welcome in our guest, Jeff Monken, head coach of the Army football program. Jeff, thanks so much for taking the time this morning. Really appreciate it.
Glad to do it, Sal.
Yeah, we'll just get right to it. I mean, last time I saw you was at the Army Navy basketball game. You were shooting t-shirts into the stands, and now football season is right around the corner. And today is pro day for 6 of your players, and next week, Wednesday, you'll start spring practice. Just talk to us a little bit about the kind of atmosphere around the program right now and the excitement of getting into the spring.
We are excited to get back out there, and I always look forward to football season, and I don't ever get tired of football. I get tired of waiting for football, and so I'm anxious to have our team get back out on the practice field on Wednesday next week. Obviously, a lot of new guys or guys that have developed, young guys that are going to be some competitors for positions, and spent time on the scout team or we're backups. So I'm always excited to see those guys and how they've developed and physically how they've changed and what difference the off season has made for them. And we lost some good players, obviously, with those guys taking part in pro day today. They, along with their brothers that are graduating seniors, we're gonna miss those guys. And guys like Andre Carter, who's getting arguably the most attention from the pro scouts, but a guy like Marquell Broughton, who meant so much to our team and to the defense. Connor Bishop, a great captain and a really good player for us on offense. The top three quarterbacks, all of whom started games even this past season. So it's going to look different, but that's part of the excitement and part of the challenge. So I know our players are looking forward to it and ready to get back out there and compete and play, and it's why they play. They have fun. They enjoy this game, and so do I. So a lot of hard work's gone into the off season, and now we're ready to kind of put it all together out there on the practice field.
You talk about things looking different. The transition maybe in offense to more of a shotgun set with Drew Thatcher coming in as the offensive coordinator. Can you just talk to us a little bit about that decision and what you saw in Drew to bring him on to run the offense and the move, what we're going to see, not giving away too many of the secrets, but what we might see from Army's offense this upcoming season?
Well, after we play a game, there's not going to be too many secrets. We'll have to show our hand pretty quick. So, I've been a part of this offense since 1997, and so early in my career, my first job out of college, I was a graduate assistant at the University of Hawaii, working with Paul Johnson. We were running this offense at Hawaii at the time, and that was my first experience with it. And then I guess it was 8 years later, Paul hired me at Georgia Southern, and essentially I've been coaching this offense ever since. So it's a big change. It's a big change to see us kind of working through an installation and getting prepared for practices and working fundamentals, or we'll be working fundamentals as we get out in the practice field. They're going to be different. But I think that the blocking rules that were put in place last spring, and it was after spring practice, which made it maybe doubly difficult to really make a wholesale change. Those have made it more difficult to execute the under center option offense. Not that I think it's impossible. I just think there's some real challenges that didn't exist prior. And this past season was an opportunity for us to evaluate just how we were going to be able to execute the offense without the ability to block below the waist on the perimeter or farther than a yard down the field inside the box. And frankly, it really was a challenge and really changed, I think, the way that we were capable of executing the offense. And so we made the move to a different style of offense, but not necessarily a different philosophy. We still want to run the ball. We want to be a really physical offensive football team. And so we'll run the ball, and there'll be a lot of option elements in what we're doing, but it's going to look different than it has in the past. But I'm excited about it. I think we've got players in our program that fit what we want to do, and Coach Thatcher is a guy that's been running this offense and has the ability to solve the problems and give us the answers we need if there's adjustments that need to be made. I think we hired Matt Drinkle 4 years ago, and Matt's a really innovative and imaginative football coach. He's got his own following. There are coaches all over the country that follow Matt Drinkle, and he does videos and he does clinics, and he's really, really good at what he does. It's obviously different than what we were doing here with the under center option, but I think marrying up his expertise and that of Coach Thatcher, I think that's going to be a really good combination. And so we in the off season, shortly after the season ended, I went about searching for a new coordinator to implement an offense that would allow us to be able to have some option elements to what we do, but from the gun, and an offense where we wouldn't have to utilize the cut block. And I'd still like to be able to cut block. I think it's an effective block and a safe block, but that's my own opinion. But we don't have that opportunity. So I talked to a couple different coaches, and I talked to Drew, and just after speaking with him, I really felt like he was the right guy, and what they were doing really fit us. And I was energized and excited about it. It's an offense and a system that I wanted to be a part of, and I wanted to see our players running here at Army. So we were able to hire him, fortunately, and he's come in and installed and implemented the offense with our staff, which has allowed our staff to work with our players to start to get the elementary pieces in place before we start spring ball next Wednesday.
People are asking about, the transition from the under center option to the shotgun option, and there's only going to be one back in the backfield, likely. Who knows what we'll see? But they're wondering what happens to the fullbacks in the old offense. What do you think their responsibilities might be, or will they move to another position? Or what do you think happens to guys like Tyson Riley and Jacoby Buchanan and guys like that?
Those guys are running backs, and they'll continue to be running backs. I don't know that I ever really felt like, well, that guy's a fullback and that guy's a slot back, and they're all running backs. And so the jobs that they had in the offense prior might have been unique to their body styles or skill sets, or maybe we kind of placed them in position where they could best utilize their skills or their size or speed. It's the same in this offense as it is every offense, but there's a place for every one of those guys in this system. And I think they're all really excited about this change and the things that we're going to be doing. And I think they're energized as well. So all of those guys have a place, and we'll have, an opportunity to be a huge part of the offense as we move forward.
There were, with the three quarterbacks that graduated, Bryson Daly coming back, who saw some playing time in 2022 and was pretty effective when he got into the game, was ready to go. How you see the quarterbacks that you have right now on the roster fitting into this the shotgun based offense?
Bryson's the only one that's got any experience. And what's been encouraging is when he came in, he's always made some plays. He had some long runs, and that was fun to see him get in there and just play with some confidence. And which, when you're coming off the bench, what do you got to lose? And so hopefully he'll have kind of the same that'll just go out there and play and be competitive and play aggressively. But there's some other guys in the program that we're looking forward to kind of seeing how they respond to getting those reps and having a chance to compete. Zach Mundell is a guy that as a freshman last year, we actually had him in the mix for the Army-Navy game playing slot and had intended to use him a good bit. And unfortunately, he pulled his hamstring. It was a really, really bad hamstring pull in the week leading up to the game, so he wasn't able to play. But Alon Mitchell, who's been in the program for a couple of years in the same class with Bryson Daly, has had a good spring, and I'm anxious to see him compete. And then there's a host of other guys that will evaluate and try to find out. So there's just a couple of guys here that are in the program right now, but then we've got some guys coming from the prep school. We've got some freshman quarterbacks that'll be coming in, and so what we're doing from an offensive standpoint now is going to be closer to what most of those guys did in high school. There's not too many guys that are running the under center option offense in high school, so they should be more comfortable stepping in and kind of doing the same things from a skill set standpoint. And I think that's going to give us an opportunity to evaluate young quarterbacks earlier and find out if they can really affect the game and help us.
No doubt. Just you talked about the seniors that are graduating, some of the seniors that are at Pro Day today. Is there anybody in the off season that's really stepped into that ship role for your team? I know you have a lot of guys who have played a lot of football. Is there anybody that has really stepped up in the off season to take over that leadership role? Or
there's a number of guys that have done that. I think one of the great things about having a leadership council, which we have since I've been here, is it's not just the captains that are in those leadership positions or are seen as the leaders of the units or of the different classes. So in each class, there's a number of guys that are on the leadership council, and they represent the other players in that class, be it freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. So there are several guys that and recognizable guys, guys like Jimmy Charlo and Austin Hill, Adam Cash. There's some guys that have been around the program that our guys really respect, that step up and lead. And so I think that's every team has its leaders that kind of separate themselves from everybody else, and it happens naturally most of the time, and so it's kind of happening for us too. Connor Finucane is a guy that with the departure of Connor Bishop, he'll step into that role in the offensive line room, and every unit probably has a guy like that that's going to step up and just provide that leadership. Q Hammonds, where Marquel Broughton leaves that room, I think Q is a guy that we'll likely see step up, and he and Max DiDomenico, and so there'll be enough guys to lead, and I'm really encouraged with the leadership that I've seen from this group.
real quick about Finucane, is he a guy who may be able to step in and at center for Connor Bishop, or who are you looking at the mix for center? Because Connor was a guy who started 3 years for you. So
perhaps he's a guy. One of the things about playing in the gun as opposed to being under center, I think it gives more players an opportunity to play center. The snap and the exchange between the center and the quarterback is much simpler from the gun. Most guys can be taught to snap the ball, and essentially they're just playing the offensive line after they snap the ball. Under center, to snap and step at the same time, to be able to deliver the ball where the quarterback needs it. A center quarterback exchange has always been a little hairy, especially when a guy hasn't done it before. So he's a guy we're going to evaluate and look at center, but there'll be several guys that we'll kind of roll through there and try to figure it out.
Gotcha. Just last one, the pro day being today. I know you commented on thoughts about Army players being able to get that opportunity to go after they graduate to West Point and get that a chance. I don't think your opinion has changed much on that, but can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts about you have six guys out there today. Bonzu getting a chance, Morris getting a chance, Balan, Murphy, Carter, and Broughton. Can you talk about, how you feel about, that situation there being right now being able to go to the pros and get a shot?
I hope all six of them make it. And I hope every one of the guys that plays football for us makes it in the NFL. That's not going to happen. It doesn't happen at any team. I mean, the teams that played for the national championship this year, every one of their guys isn't going to make an NFL team. But I still hope that for all of our guys. I think it's an unbelievable opportunity. And it's what this academy is all about. We seek out the best students, the best athletes, the best leaders in the country, and try to get them to excel at a really high level and prepare them for opportunities that are elite. And so as we celebrate the accomplishments of so many of our graduates that become astronauts, become Fortune 500 CEOs, that own professional sports franchises, that go on to be Rhodes Scholars, Olympic athletes, they're all competing and they're all performing at a really high level. And I'd argue in those industries at the very highest level. So this is just an extension of that for our young men and women who are athletes here at the academy to be able to compete at the very highest level. To celebrate that, I think is very much a part of this academy. And each one of those people that is excelling in other areas outside of the military all have a service piece tied to it. They either previously served or will serve after that. And our guys want to serve, and they're excited to do that. They're excited also to compete and excel at their sport, which they love. And so I'm excited for them. This is a great day. This is the most pro scouts that we've ever had for a pro day, obviously, to come and evaluate Andre Carter. And he's certainly been a big name for us the last couple of years as an NFL prospect. And hopefully he's going to perform well. And he's going to be a really good player at that level. And hopefully he'll be a high draft pick, because and not that just having a chance to play is great, but to be recognized as a guy that's a part of that elite group of guys that are leaving college football this year to go in the NFL would be really special for him and his family, and certainly for our program.
No doubt. Coach, do you have a number of how many scouts are going to be at the pro day today? Do you know how many, or?
Right now we're expecting about 25 or so.
Wow. Wow. I remember Brett Totes, where you had about 12 teams represented at Brett Totes around there. So that's almost double. And what you could expect, Andre Carter definitely deserving. Coach, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We know it's a busy time for you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, and look forward to seeing you out on the practice field in the spring.
You too, Sal. Beat Navy.